Good morning everyone. Today we're going to be taking a look at something a little different. Rather than being an ancient artifact or a magical weapon of some definition, we'll be discussing a highly, some would even say surprisingly, advanced piece of technology capable of letting you relive ancestral memories. This time we're going to be covering the Animus from Assassin's Creed. The Animus is a device initially developed by Abstergo Industries that allows a user to relive the lives of their long-dead ancestors through the use of genetic memory, generating a virtual reality world that can offer quite considerable interaction. While originally a cumbersome installed device, development of the Animus would eventually lead to much smaller portable units. While most utilised from the turn of the millennium, development of the Animus, or at the very least a machine designed to relive ancestral memories, dates back as far as the 1930s, with the first iteration created from a collusion between the Order of the Templar Knights and the Nazis. While much larger than its later incarnations, and harnessing the power of almost pseudoscience to literally open a window to the past, the objective of the machine would be much the same as its more technologically based counterparts: to locate pieces of Eden, powerful relics of an advanced ancient civilization, using the memories of assassins who had been in contact with them. The next attempt to create an Animus did not occur until around the late 1960s to early 1970s, when the corporate face of the Templars, Abstergo Industries, developed a device utilizing a piece of Eden, much like its predecessor, but was not utilized until 1980, where the extraction of memories was somewhat successful, but the experiment proved fatal for the test subject. Over the next 2 decades, the device would be refined but not quite perfected, resulting in several significant side effects ranging from headaches to a phenomenon known as the bleeding effect. While tweaks to the design continued into the new millennium, Abstergo became confident enough to produce multiple units, creating banks of the device capable of being used simultaneously. While Abstergo would do little to modify the Animus over the coming years, the modern-day assassins would develop their own variant of the technology, presumably based on blueprints stolen in 1977, appearing as a chair rather than the blocky, bed-like instrument used by Abstergo. This variant would undergo something of an upgrade, improving its software and making the hardware much more portable, but the next great leap in the technology would not come until 2013, after it became possible for someone to relive the memories of an unrelated individual. To exploit this, Abstergo Entertainment, a subsidiary of Abstergo Industries, produced a virtual reality console with the intent of having consumers sift through the multitude of memories in the guise of a video game to gather the information they required. In 2016, a relatively obscure variant of the Animus is known to have been utilized by Abstergo in the form of a large mechanical arm that allowed its users to act out the events of the memories they were reliving rather than just viewing them. It seems like this was a highly specialist device, or even prototype however, utilized only in very particular scenarios. The most recent version of the Animus returns somewhat to the bed-like design initially used by Abstergo, but is far more portable, able to be packed up and carried around, with the subject lying in a recess when unpacked. Despite their variations, all animi have several things in common. Until 2012, it was only possible for someone to relive the memories of their direct ancestors, but after advances in the technology, this was overcome. However, a person exploring memories may only follow the actions that originally occurred, lest the simulation become desynchronized. Although it does appear that the Animus allows for limited small-scale deviation, presumably accommodated by procedurally generated outcomes predicted by original events, with greater margins of error risking desync. One of the most interesting effects of the Animus, though, is the bleeding effect, where a user will begin to take on traits and skills of the person whose memories they have been reliving. Although being a side effect, both Abstergo and the Assassins made good use of it to train soldiers in the techniques of the Assassins, with Abstergo going so far as to effectively have factory floors of animi users training through the bleeding effect. As mentioned before, they even went so far as to use a device that allowed users to act out their actions, potentially to allow them to train a body in the skills as well as a mind. The Animus is a fascinating, if potentially dangerous device that appears to give its user a wide range of possible experiences, from merely viewing the past, through to invasive procedures that allow whole body interaction and sensation. As if experiencing past memories wasn't enough, the device can allow for extensive gymnastic and combat training in a drastically reduced time frame. Despite all of this, however, the Animus is still an imperfect machine, and has become surprisingly widespread with the advent of a games console based on it, and for this reason it can only be assigned an artifact rating of remarkable. So as if constantly having to relive your own embarrassing memories wasn't enough, this thing allows you to relive those of every single one of your ancestors. I'm sure Claude from 17th century France called his primary teacher Mummy as well. Please subscribe for more course content, and if you want to suggest your own lecture topic, or just support the series, then become a patron. Now, have a great day, and try not to worry about the past. I'm almost certain no future types will end up rummaging through your memories in 500 years time, and if they do, tell them I said hi.